people conduct research. Now if you're a quantitative researcher or a qualitative research, no matter what it is, you go through research, and it's cumbersome, it's a tiresome process, it's not easy, right? Those of you who have done some sort of research, at least to some extent, you know that it's not an easy task. So you get an idea that it's not an easy job, it's not like a simple thing, you have to go through a lot of stuff. The question is, why do you do that? Okay, so there are different reasons. One is you do it because you want to integrate the knowledge. Okay, what does this mean? It's a very simple thing. So now if you think about this, in your case, Jordan, or in Ken's case, artificial intelligence, it's a complete different thing. It's a technical thing. It's like a computer science thing, right? It has nothing to do with management sciences. It's a computer science thing. Human resource management is a management thing. It's like two different things. Yes? Same is the case with you. Marketing and HR, yes, broadly they are under management science, but they are completely different. One, you are dealing with employees, the other one you are dealing with customers, right? So it's completely different. But if you do not merge them, you would be out of ideas, right? If you just keep going on, okay, I'm just going to go with marketing, like I don't want to look into any other thing, I'm just like married to one discipline, it's not going to lead to innovative ideas or innovative solutions or something like this, right? So that's why it's a good idea to merge two disciplines, or to merge the knowledge from two disciplines to come up with something new, right? So computer science, artificial intelligence, maybe if you go to computer science, people are studying artificial intelligence for 10 years because it's their cup of tea, right? It's a technical thing. But in management sciences, maybe 1 year, 1.5, 2 years, because some people brought that knowledge into management sciences and tried to see where can they apply this knowledge, right? Now, in your case, or maybe in your case, or some of you who are working with internal marketing or marketing and HR, what happens here? HR traditionally has been focusing on human resources, right? Marketing traditionally focuses on customers. Yes, they go their own way separately. However, when the organizations grow, they also understand that if we want our customers to be happy, we need to make sure that the employees behave well with them, right? Employees, you cannot force them, so they are only going to behave well with the customers if the employees are happy. So in order to make the customers happy, we need to make sure that the employees are happy. Now what you are doing is merging HR and marketing together, right? So many times we do research because we want to integrate knowledge. We want to bring together two or more disciplines together, to bring the knowledge from two disciplines. Does it make sense? Okay, so another reason why we do research is because we want to apply the knowledge in the discipline, in the industry. Okay, what does that mean? It's very simple. So let's say you are a person who works or who owns hotels or restaurants. You are in industry, right? And I tell you, Jordan, I did an amazing research from point number one, where I think that if you bring technology or if you bring robots into your restaurants, people are going to get crazy about it, and you will get a lot of profits and sale and this and that. You would be like, okay, who says it? As I did a lot of research, like I merged together these two disciplines and I think it's going to work out. But you would be like, no, you have to test it, right? So the second stream of research is where you bring this integration of disciplines into the industry, apply it and see what results does it produce really, right? So all the stuff from point number one is on the paper. Point number two is where you really apply it in the industry and see what's happening, right? So there are a lot of examples. Here I've put one example for point number one, where these two guys, Burgess and Bryant, or girls, or I don't know, two researchers, they did something where they brought the literature from financial performance and revenue management for hotels. They put them together to see how can they convert revenue into profits, because these are two distinct things, right? Revenue management has nothing to do with profits. I mean, it has, but not really. You are generating more revenue, but financial management is more like how do you increase your profit. So they merged together these two disciplines, and the research was how can they come up with systems that shift revenues into profits, right? So that's a research. Number two is, so this guy, Miller, came up with some research, where they studied the companies that were interested into corporate social responsibility, and they gave them a roadmap of how they can apply these corporate social responsibility initiatives and get a better image or something like that, right? So this is a very applied research. Okay. Number three is people are interested in teaching but not so much in research. Yes. Now, when Jordan, tell me, when did you do your schooling? Like, what year was it? Like, around what year?
My undergrad?
Yeah.
So I did it from 2008 to 2011, and then I just finished it this past year.
Okay, for FGCU, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask Ken. Ken, when did you study for your undergrad?
77, 81.
Okay, so Ken, tell me, okay, again, it has nothing to do with that, but the question is, do you think the teaching has changed from that time till now? Like now when you attend classes, do you think teaching has changed?
I think it has, absolutely.
It has changed the teaching methods, the way people teach, even the students, right? Focus has changed, internet has changed a lot of stuff, the way modules, or like even now what we are doing in this class, Ken is in Arizona, like it's taking the classes from Arizona. It's just unbelievable how things have changed, right? So number three part when it comes to research, why we do research is teaching. To come up with creative ways, innovative ways of teaching. How do you know that whatever? So basically how it works is, if you are integrating knowledge from multiple disciplines, okay, I was a consumer behavior guy, okay, my research was all consumer behavior, but for the last 3-4 years, I'm working with HR, I'm working with technology, I'm working with this and that, because I have so many people who want to work with me, and I don't want to tell them like, okay, if you convert your research into what I want to do, I'm going to work with you, otherwise, bye-bye. I can't do that, right? So it changes. Now, what happens is when I change my research, it also changes my teaching, because when I teach, I give you a lot of examples from my own research or things that I've looked into, right? So I also do research to improve my teaching, to bring innovative ideas into my teaching, to give you solid examples. You see, most of the people now use case studies in classes, right? You guys know this, online as well. Case studies. Case studies are what? These are pieces of research where you are researching one particular case, and then you see what was the problem, what was the solution, how did the company do whatever they did, right? And then you bring it to class and teach. So why we do research? Number one, you integrate knowledge. Number two, you apply that knowledge in industry. Number three is so that you can teach in a better way with more examples or innovative ways. So this is why we do research. Now, in hospitality and tourism, there are specific journals about teaching. There's one called Journal of Hospitality and Tourism Education. Now, I don't know how many of you are interested in teaching, but those of you who are interested to get a PhD, obviously are going to teach in the future. So I would suggest you from time to time to get on this journal and have a look on what type of research they are publishing. Okay, that will just give you an idea. There are two journals. One is Journal of Hospitality and Tourism Education. The other one is Journal of Sports, Leisure, Hospitality and Tourism Education. It's like a bigger one. So, okay, now let's move further. So, now you know that this is why people do research, right? So the question for most of you to ask is, what should be my purpose of teaching? My purpose of research, right? Now, you are all in masters. Some of you have finished your PhD. Some of you are still going through your PhD. The question is, what should be your purpose as a researcher, especially if you're working in hospitality and tourism, right? It's a little different compared to other industries. So these are basically three different purposes of research. One of them is you should do your research to uncover and make sense of existing patterns of behaviors and phenomena within hospitality and tourism industry. Now, what does it mean? Very simple, okay? Okay, so you guys all travel, right? Right? Do you see that some hotels that are now charging premium pricing include a lot of greenery in their lobbies? Like when you go to a lobby, you see a lot of plants, and some hotels even have like waterfalls or something like this, right? This is called biophilic design. It's increasing. More and more hotels are using this now, right? It's an increasing trend. So Odette now is studying why is it happening, or Is it having any sort of impact on people's behavior or emotions? I mean, for me, it does. Like when I go to a hotel, I see greenery, I see water or whatever. I like it because I like nature, right? So I normally stay in the lobby more if there's like greenery or water or something in the lobby, right? So her research is looking at this phenomena. Now, this is a current phenomena. It's something new happening, right? Similarly, Sedan here is working on robotics and hospitality and tourism. Now, robotics is a fairly new phenomenon. So she is studying on how can people accept robots in a service hospitality or tourism setting, right? So your first purpose of your research should be to uncover new phenomena or trends that are happening around, right? Number two is to identify better and new ways of managing hospitality operations. What does this mean? So Ken said he wants to do research on how can 5G or AI improve the human resource management. So human resource management basically means recruitment, selection, training, all that, those functions of HR, right? Now, all these functions exist from, I don't know what, maybe 150 years, right? People recruit, people select, people train, and all this stuff. But Ken is now coming up with a newer way. He wants to research on a newer way on how to manage hospitality HRM. And so basically number one is point number one from previous slide, where you are integrating knowledge. Point number two is applying that knowledge into the industry. Point number three is to enable the faculty to educate future practitioners. So there are some characteristics of what, so these 8 points distinguish research from research project or research from academic research, okay? So remember that research always starts with a problem or a question. You should always have a question in mind that enables you or motivates you to go further, right? Number two is you convert that question or whatever idea is in your head into a clear statement of problem. What does this mean? So it's very simple. Me and Siddhan, we had a talk about robots. Now today, if you remember, she talked about robot rights, right? Yes? So how does this idea come? Now, very simple. Because workplaces are getting different, right? We have more robots in workplaces. So what happens if a robot goes rogue and beats you? Like, what do you do then, right? Or maybe you get rogue and you beat a robot. Like, what do we do then, right? So this is a legitimate question. Like, nobody have got answer for it, right? People that I have talked to, they say, oh, you can't say that because robot is a possession. It's not a person, or it's not like, you know, it's like you go and hit a table, like, who are you going to sue? So there are a lot of arguments to it, right? Yes. Yeah. So I mean, there are arguments to it, right? So for all these things, which is converting your idea into a problem. Problem is where you have argument, right? If we all agree to one thing, there's no argument. But there are certain things where you convert your idea, your topic into a problem, where you talk about arguments, like, okay, this is what we think about it, this is what they are thinking about it. That's an argument. How do we go about it, right? Number three is to create a plan on how do you deal with these arguments, right? Number four, you go ahead and you create sub-problems. Now, whenever you have a problem to tackle, you do not go all in for that problem. You know, convert it into sub-problems, try to answer all those sub-problems to deal with the bigger problem, right? Number five is your problem should lead you to appropriate data, okay? Now, if I tell you, how are we going to talk to aliens? This can't be a problem or this can't be a research because there's no data about it, right? So, I mean, how am I going to lead to anything because there's no data? There are some there are some crazy people who have written blogs and stuff about it, but really there's nothing much, right? Number six is you create some assumptions based on your personality, whether you're going to go quantitative about it, whether you're going to go qualitative about it. How do you see the world? You remember last week we talked about it, positivist versus constructionism and all that stuff. Number seven is you start collecting data, you analyze the data. And number eight is you come up with your findings, move them back to the exploration and create that whole cycle. Okay? So these are the 8 things that you normally do in order to distinguish a normal research from an academic research. All right? So these are 6 questions regarding topic selection. So when you come up with your topic, you should be able to answer these 6 questions. Now again, you don't have to write like 4 pages for each of these questions. No, it's just 1 or 2 lines for each of this question, right? But based on facts, you should be really say, reading the facts about it. So number 1 is, what are the significant and important trends that have broad implications for theory and practice in the future? So let's say you're working on engagement. So let's say if you want to study how is Instagram an effective tool for destination marketing, let's say like that, right? So you really need to read about it, the future trends or the predictions of Instagram for destinations. That would give you an idea of what are the most important trends that have broad implications for this topic. Okay. Number 2 is the topic sustainable over an extended period of time and not just a fad? What does this mean? It's very simple. Okay. So just today, I talked to one of the older students, not in terms of age, but she's going to graduate this semester. She came to my office, Susan, and she said she wants to work on robotic chefs. Okay, but she wants to understand whether people would be willing to pay a premium price for robot operated restaurants, right? So you know that these days many restaurants are charging premium for handcrafted beers or handcrafted burgers or stuff like that, right? Where you are doing handcrafted. So how about a restaurant brings a robot and start charging premium, right? Would that work? So I told her, yes, for now it would work. And it's nothing to do with handcrafted or robot crafted. It's just because it's so new. So people are going to pay premium not because of robot crafted burger, but because it's just such a new phenomenon. But probably a year later, like, we are in the time where Amazon has already started doing drone deliveries and stuff like this, right? So I mean, probably in a year or 2 years, like even on the corner of your street, you might have a robot operated restaurant, right? So once that happens, it won't be a very new phenomenon, right? So whenever you are doing a research, it's also important to understand whether this topic is going to sustain for the next year or 2 years or 3 years, get some implications, or is it going to just fade out? Okay. Number 3 is, will the topic be broad enough or generate interest among a sufficiently large group of researchers? So some topics are very broad, like for now, whatever I read, for most of you when you did your assignment, the topics are extremely broad. Okay, so let's say you write, I want to study food and beverage. Like what? It's like, and then sometimes people just go so specific, like I want to study the impact of red chili powder on the taste of the food. Like I already know you put it, it's going to be spicy, okay? So it's a balance, like where do you want to keep that balance, whether too broad or too specific, where do you want to keep it, right? So you have to answer that question. And then how much research has been done on this topic so far? So if you tell me that you want to study the impact of satisfaction on loyalty, I would be like, get out of here. Because there are like a million researchers done on it, right? So some topics, now of course you cannot go and work on something completely new. You tell me like I want to study on the hotel operations on Mars. Nobody has done it. Okay, can't do that because you are doing research. You have to find something that is already there, right? So you just have to connect it to something in a unique way, right? So that's that. What is my competitive advantage in this area? So this one, some of you have explained pretty well. Like you said, you have worked in the food and beverage area, so you want to study that one. And then Aisha Gul said she worked in marketing and communication, so she's studying destination marketing, organizations, their websites and stuff. So is it that you're having some sort of a strength to do that research or not, right? For you, Instagram, you remember, because you have a personal experience with Instagram, so he said maybe you can look into that type of thing, right? And then Justin said he wants to own a restaurant in the future, so you want to study the computation of franchising and hospitality and tourism, which makes sense, right? You need to think about your personal strength to do that research. And number 6 is, am I truly passionate and excited about the topic? Most important thing, because when you do research, it's going to take like 6 months to, okay, for you guys it would be like 4.5 months in this semester, but for those who are going through PhD, it's like 4 to 5 years. So you really need to work on something that you are excited about, okay? Not you, it's okay, all right?